VDM challenges police. 4 killed in Lagos clash. Falana speaks on NBA conference and Tinubu swears in new head of service. Good day and welcome to Akahi News. This is Akahi Master Analysis, where we don't just tell you what happened. We look behind the headlines and ask the questions Nigerians should be asking. Today, we have 4 major developments to examine. First, Verydarkman is challenging the Nigerian police force over his controversial claims concerning alleged links between security personnel and kidnapping activities at checkpoints. Second, 4 people have been killed following a violent clash in a Lagos community, with several others injured and structures reportedly destroyed. Third, senior lawyer Femi Falana has criticized the decision to have Verydarkman participate in discussions at a Nigerian Bar Association conference on security matters, arguing that specialized issues should involve people with direct experience. And finally, President Bola Tinubu has sworn in Enitan as the new head of the Civil Service of the Federation. These are 4 different stories, but they all raise important questions about security, accountability, expertise, leadership, and the Nigerian state. So, please stay with me. If you are watching this live stream, don't just watch silently. Tell me in the comments, which of these 4 stories concerns you the most? Is it the VDM and police controversy? The 4 deaths in Lagos? Falana's criticism of VDM's conference role? Or the appointment of a new head of the civil service? Let's begin. Story 1. VDM challenges police, charge me to court. Let us start with the story generating significant public attention. Verydarkman, popularly known as VDM, has challenged the Nigerian police force over allegations he made concerning kidnapping and police checkpoints. The police had invited him to provide evidence supporting his claims. The allegations are serious because they concern the possibility of security personnel being connected to criminal activity involving kidnappers. But we need to make something very clear from the beginning. An allegation is not the same thing as an established fact. That distinction is extremely important. According to the reports, VDM has indicated that he is ready to face the legal process and has challenged the authorities to charge him to court, where he says he can present his evidence. Now, this is where the story becomes bigger than one social media personality. The real issue is, how should Nigeria handle serious allegations against security institutions? Because on one hand, if somebody genuinely possesses evidence that police officers or other security personnel are helping criminals, that evidence should not be ignored. Kidnapping is one of the most frightening crimes confronting Nigerians. If any security official is found to be helping kidnappers, that person should face the full weight of the law. But there is another side. A police officer should not be publicly declared a criminal simply because an allegation has been made. There must be evidence. There must be investigation. There must be due process. And ultimately, there must be justice. So, I think Nigerians should resist the temptation to turn this into simply Team VDM versus Team Police. That is not the most useful way to approach the matter. The real question should be, what evidence exists, how can it be properly examined, and what should happen if the evidence proves the allegation? If the allegation is false, a credible investigation should establish that. If the allegation is true, then the appropriate individuals should be held accountable. That is what a functioning system should do. And this is where the legal process becomes important. VDM says he wants to present his evidence in court rather than simply hand it over in the manner requested. Whether that position is legally or strategically wise is a matter for his lawyers and the appropriate authorities. But Nigerians should watch what happens next. Will there be a formal legal process? Will the evidence be produced? Will independent investigators be involved? Will the police respond transparently? Those are the questions that matter. And there is another issue here. Social media personalities now have enormous influence in Nigeria. A person with millions of followers can raise an allegation in minutes and trigger nationwide discussion. That power comes with responsibility. The same principle applies to government institutions. Security institutions also have enormous power. That power comes with responsibility. Therefore, both sides should be accountable. The citizen who makes a serious allegation should be prepared to substantiate it. And the institution accused of wrongdoing should be willing to allow credible allegations to be properly investigated. That is how public confidence is built. So, my question to you is, if VDM says he has evidence, should he present it directly to the police, or should he insist that the matter be handled through a court or another independent legal process? Put your answer in the comments. Story 2. 4 killed as violence erupts in Lagos community. Now let's move to Lagos. This story is much more disturbing because it involves the loss of human lives. 4 adult men were killed on Thursday after a disagreement reportedly escalated into communal unrest at Power Line bus stop in Ikola, within the Alimosho area of Lagos State. According to the report, several other people sustained injuries. The Lagos State Emergency Management Agency said emergency responders were deployed after receiving a distress call concerning a fire outbreak. The situation had already escalated into serious unrest. Several makeshift structures were reportedly destroyed by fire. Security agencies were mobilized, including the police, army, civil defense and Lagos Neighborhood Safety Corps. The authorities said normalcy had been restored and that investigations had commenced. Now, let us pause here. 4 people are dead. That is not just another headline. Behind the number 4 are 4 families, 4 sets of relatives, 4 communities of people who will wake up knowing that someone they loved is no longer coming home. And this is why we need to be careful about the language we use when reporting communal violence. When people hear words like hoodlums, cultists, Nadana, or other descriptions connected with a violent incident, emotions can immediately rise. But at this stage, we should allow investigators to establish exactly what happened. Punch reported that a disagreement reportedly preceded the violence, while emergency officials said the incident followed a disagreement that escalated into communal unrest. The authorities have urged residents to avoid reprisals and the spread of unverified information. That is extremely important, because after a violent incident, rumors can become another form of violence. Someone says, "Those people did this." Another person says, "They attacked us first." Then another group reacts. Before anybody has established the facts, revenge begins. That is how a local disagreement can become a much larger crisis. So my question is, how can communities prevent small disagreements from becoming deadly communal violence? We need stronger community leadership. We need responsible security intervention. We need early warning systems. And we need citizens who understand that taking the law into their own hands can create consequences that nobody can reverse. You cannot bring a dead person back by killing another person. You cannot rebuild a destroyed community simply by destroying another person's property. And you cannot create justice through uncontrolled revenge. If somebody has committed a crime, let the law deal with that person. This brings us back to our first story. In story 1, we are talking about accountability within security institutions. Here, we are talking about accountability among citizens and communities. In both cases, the principle is the same. Nigeria needs the rule of law, not revenge. The Lagos emergency authorities have said investigations are underway. That investigation should be allowed to establish the immediate and remote causes of the violence and identify anyone found culpable. And the people of the affected community need peace. Not another round of retaliation. Not rumors. Not ethnic or religious escalation. Peace. Story 3. Falana questions VDM's role at NBA conference. Now, let us return to Veridakman, but from a completely different angle. Senior lawyer Femi Falana has criticized the defense of VDM's role at a Nigerian Bar Association conference. This is an interesting development because the debate is not simply about VDM as an individual. It raises a broader question. Who should speak on specialized issues at professional conferences? According to Punch, Falana argued that when a discussion concerns specialized security matters, organizers should involve people who have direct knowledge or experience of those matters, including people involved in security or victims of abductions. He also argued that professional conferences should maintain a strong intellectual tradition, where speakers bring expertise capable of generating serious public debate. Now, I think this deserves a balanced analysis. First, does having professional expertise matter? Absolutely. If you are discussing a specialized technical subject, expertise is valuable. If you are discussing medicine, you need medical expertise. If you are discussing engineering, you need people who understand engineering. If you are discussing national security, people with direct experience of security matters clearly have something important to contribute. But here is another question. Does someone need to be a professional security officer before they can raise important questions about insecurity?
No.
Not necessarily. Citizens experience insecurity. Journalists investigate insecurity.
Yes.
Victims of kidnapping experience insecurity.
That is true.
Community leaders experience insecurity.
That is it.
Human rights advocates discuss insecurity.
Yes, so
And public commentators can raise questions that professionals may sometimes overlook.
that is it.
So perhaps the answer is not necessarily experts or are members of the public. Perhaps the better answer is experts and informed members of the public.
That's it.
Imagine a conference where a security expert explains the technical realities of kidnapping. Then a victim explains what it feels like to be kidnapped. Then a lawyer explains the constitutional and legal implications. Then a journalist explains what investigations have revealed. Then a public commentator asks difficult questions from the perspective of ordinary Nigerians. That could actually produce a stronger conversation. So the disagreement over VDM's participation should not simply become another personality battle. We should ask, what was the purpose of the session? What expertise was required? What did VDM contribute?
That is it.
Were the organizers trying to attract a younger or wider audience? Could his participation have been complemented by security experts? These are more useful questions. And I think there is an important lesson here for Nigeria. Professional institutions should maintain standards. But professional institutions should also recognize that public discourse is changing. Social media has changed how Nigerians consume information. A person doesn't need to hold an official position before millions of Nigerians will listen to what that person says. That doesn't automatically make everything the person says correct. It simply means the institution has to decide how to engage with that influence responsibly. And this is where critical thinking becomes essential. Popularity is not expertise, but equally, professional status is not a substitute for truth. The strongest public conversation should be based on evidence, knowledge, experience, and the willingness to listen.
That is it.
That, in my view, is the bigger lesson from the Falana VDM controversy. Story 4. Tinubu swears in Enitan as new head of civil service. Now let's move from controversy and insecurity to government. President Bola Tinubu has sworn in Enitan as the new head of the civil service of the Federation. The appointment took effect on August 27, 2026. According to Punch, Enitan is from Osun State and was the most senior permanent secretary in the Federal Civil Service at the time of his appointment. He had served as a permanent secretary for 7 years and 7 months. He previously served in areas including the Ministry of Police Affairs, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and the Office of the Vice President, before becoming permanent secretary at the Federal Ministry of Education. This is not merely another government appointment. The head of the civil service occupies a critical position in the machinery of government. Because presidents come and go, ministers come and go, political office holders come and go, but the permanent bureaucracy remains a major part of how government policies are implemented. So the real question should be, what kind of civil service will Nigerians see under the new leadership? President Tinubu has charged Enitan to consolidate reforms, deepen professionalism and efficiency, and build a more responsive civil service. Those are good objectives. But Nigerians will ultimately judge the appointment by results. Can the civil service become more efficient? Can government services become easier for ordinary citizens to access? Can bureaucracy be reduced? Can public institutions become more accountable? Can merit and professionalism be strengthened? Can digital transformation reduce unnecessary delays? These are the issues Nigerians care about. For an ordinary Nigerian trying to obtain a government service, the question isn't simply, who is the head of service? The question is, will government work better for me? That is the real test. Enitan reportedly brings extensive experience in the federal civil service. Now that experience has to translate into measurable results. Leadership appointments should not simply be celebrated. They should be monitored. Citizens should ask, what reforms are being implemented? What changes are taking place? What is becoming more efficient? Where are government workers performing better? Where are citizens still facing unnecessary delays? That is how citizens hold institutions accountable without turning every issue into partisan politics. Final aka HI News Analysis. What connects those 4 stories? Now, let us bring everything together. At first glance, these 4 stories appear completely different. One is about Veridakman and the police. One is about deadly violence in Lagos. One is about Femi Falana and the Nigerian Bar Association Conference. And one is about a new head of the civil service. But there is actually a common thread. Institutions. The police are an institution. The legal profession is an institution. The civil service is an institution. And communities are institutions of social organization. The question running through all four stories is: can Nigerian institutions earn and maintain public trust? In the VDM controversy, Nigerians want security institutions they can trust. In the Lagos violence, Nigerians want communities where disagreements do not become deadly. In the Falana debate, Nigerians want professional institutions that combine expertise with meaningful public engagement. And in the civil service, Nigerians want government institutions that actually work. That is why I believe these stories deserve more than simple headlines. Nigeria does not only have a problem of individuals, we also have a problem of systems. And when systems are strong, individuals are less able to abuse them. When systems are weak, even good individuals can struggle to produce good results. So, as Nigerians, we should stop asking only, who is right? Sometimes we should also ask, what system will prevent this problem from happening again? That is the deeper question. So, let's quickly recap today's four major stories. Number 1. Veredakman is challenging the police over his allegations concerning checkpoint-related kidnapping claims and says he is prepared to face the legal process. Number 2. Four people have died after violence erupted in the Ikola area of Lagos, while several others were injured and structures were destroyed. Authorities say investigations are underway and have urged residents to avoid reprisals and unverified information. Number 3. Femi Falana has questioned the suitability of VDM's role in discussions on specialized security issues at the Nigerian Bar Association conference, arguing that people with relevant experience should be involved. Number 4. President Bola Tinubu has sworn in Enitan as the new head of the Civil Service of the Federation, with expectations that he will deepen professionalism, efficiency and ongoing reforms. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these stories deserves the most attention? Do you think VDM should present his evidence directly to the police? Do you think the Lagos violence shows that communities need stronger security and conflict resolution mechanisms? Do you agree with Falana that specialized professional discussions should primarily involve experienced experts? And what do you expect from the new head of the civil service? Put your thoughts in the comments. Please remember that allegations reported in the news should not automatically be treated as established facts. Investigations and due process matter. This is Akahi Master Analysis on Akahi News. I am Joseph Iyaji. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And please stay safe. By Joseph Iyaji, Akahi News.